Hi and welcome to another episode of Career Stories podcast. My name's Joe.
And I'm Carrie.
We are Careers Advisors for Skills Development Scotland, and this podcast is about speaking to individuals in their current job roles, find out more about what they do so that you don't have to. And today is a bit different because today we are going to be interviewing each other. Coming up shortly in March, I think it's the 2nd of March to the 6th, it'll be Scottish Apprenticeship Week. And if you've been listening in to the Career Stories podcast, you may know that both me and Carrie started our career journey in apprenticeships. So we thought it'd be good to talk about it.
So you'll have heard us say that we're doing that. So we will be covering topics about like how we applied for our apprenticeships, what the work placement studies were like, lots more. We also have some listener questions. We've had some questions put through to our Instagram channel. So we'll get to those as well. So we can just kind of dive in. It's a bit odd for us today because we're so used to speaking to other people. So we're not used to like looking each other in the face.
This will be different.
It will be odd.
Yeah, but maybe easy enough for us because obviously we've experienced it. We've been through it. So it's been good. But I know obviously nothing about your journey other than what we've picked up through this. So why don't you start? Like, what was your apprenticeship? When did you start your apprenticeship?
So I've actually done 2 apprenticeships. So I worked in the library years ago, and I was an apprentice in the library. So I did like an admin apprenticeship there as a library assistant, which I found it was really good. I loved it, but I also found that it was a bit an admin to library. I was having to kind of reshuffle how I did things to make it fit with a qualification. So it wasn't quite as this is exactly what you're doing and you're doing a qualification that is exactly what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But then when I came on as a trainee careers advisor stage 1, and so there was 10 of us got taken on at the same time as trainee careers advisors. So we did an SVQ3, so kind of equivalent to like HNC level in careers information. Then I moved on to the trainee stage 2, and that was the more careers at the sort of degree level. And then I went on to the postgrad where I actually finally set foot into university and that was me qualified as a careers advisor after that. So that was my sort of apprenticeship route. But I know you did it slightly differently.
Slightly differently. So I left school, no ideas at all. And apprenticeship, I think when I say no ideas, I thought about being a joiner. I know I've thought a lot about joiners, but again, it's just maybe ingrained that would be a good opportunity and a good job. But, you know, like I've explained before, no calluses. Like, not really.
I've got some calluses.
Not really somebody that enjoyed that type of kind of work. Yeah. So kind of had to pivot, went to college and did like, kind of like games development, coding. I was quite into early YouTube at the time.
Nice.
And I wish I stuck because the money in that was very good. But my dad was like, go out there and get something, go and get a job. Yeah. So I kind of went to college first, did that, and then Skills Development Scotland had an apprentice admin assistant. And to me, I was like, well, if I can do coding, I can work on Excel. Like, I could do Word documents, but not really fully understanding what the job was. Yeah. Just knew it was computing based. Yep. And I'd heard that apprenticeships or modern apprenticeships were good opportunities to get into a company and then you figure it out.
Yeah. How old were you then when you went for your apprenticeship?
So I was 18. So 18 turning 19. So I was at the end of the later stages of the apprenticeship.
Not quite as... So when I started, so when we applied for the trainee careers advisor, it was up to 24. Right, okay. And I was 24 when I applied. So I was the oldest apprentice in my little group sort of thing. So I was 24. And then I don't know if yours was similar, like you could kind of work through it at your own pace. Yeah. So I managed to I finished all my coursework for my first level, the HNC level, in 6 months. So I did it. I was quite motivated. I was like, I'm 24. I had a daughter. I had a 2-year-old at home, sort of thing. So I was like, I want to get through this, and I want to develop and get onto the next stage. And then with the second stage one, like the degree sort of level one, you could do it a little bit quicker, but not quite as. I think I did that in like 18 months sort of thing. And then I got to the uni part and they're like, you have to just do it at the stage that you're meant to.
You're meant to do it, I think my apprenticeship was done in 6 months. It was quite a quick process. But It's because I was the first one of two apprentices SDS had ever had.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of new to SDS as well. Like
Definitely.
how apprenticeship should really run, what's it going to be like. But, it was an enjoyable experience because ultimately it was just, you're getting paid to learn, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I was doing most of the work online, so there wasn't an expectation of having to travel out to like colleges and stuff like that, which was good. And then like because I completed in 6 months, it was just there's the job. So now you're just doing the job, which is really good. And also like SDS being as big as it is, you were in a kind of, you hoped you were in a kind of safe place. And I think that when people are looking at apprenticeships, the idea is if an employer is giving you the opportunity to come on board and learn, usually the aspect is that there'll be an opportunity at the end of it if you work hard.
Yeah, definitely.
So I kind of felt like that was my reason particularly for going down the apprenticeship route, but also because I was similar to a lot of our guests that we've spoke to, zero ideas.
Yeah, definitely.
Did that college, went to uni and dropped out within 2 months.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think that's it. Like my thing, so when I applied for the trainee careers advisor job, I remember like I'd done a lot of different jobs. I left school, so I stayed on until 6th year. I got some hires, some like sort of standard grades and twos, stuff like that. Yeah. And I left and I went to college. I did jewellery making.
Nice.
Which, amazing for some people, but not for me. It wasn't my thing at all. Like, I don't know. I just did it because I was like, I need to do something. I was working part-time at Nando's. I was working part-time at a hairdresser's at the same time. I did youth work and stuff. So I was doing all these little bits and bobs. And then I got a job in the library. I did my qualification there with that. And then I had my daughter and I was like, right, I want to be able to work my way up somewhere because I'd never went to college fully. I'd never went to uni. Yeah. I had friends that were in these like amazing jobs and careers. And I was like, I'm never going to have a career. And I genuinely remember sitting thinking, I will never have a career. I remember sitting looking at job websites and going, well, I can't do that. I'll not be able to do that. And I've got a daughter now, so I can't go and study. I can't afford to not work. I can't go and do this. And it just felt like this is never going to happen for me and I'm never going to be more than what I am. And it felt really horrible. It felt really just ugh. And so I was working at the NHS in health records, and as much as like I think for some people it would be an amazing job, for me I didn't speak to anyone. I was going around picking up notes, not speaking to anybody and running around the hospital kind of like very much in the background, and I was miserable. I really didn't enjoy it. And I thought I like speaking to people, and it was actually my mum worked for Adult Basic Education at the time, and she sent me a vacancy for this job. And I was like, I can't do that. That's a career. And I was like, but I thought, well, you know what, I'll try. And I applied. I had to go to Dundee for the interview from Fife. And I was very ill. I lost my voice during my interview. I was like, I'm going like, I'm really sorry, can you repeat the question? Like, it was ridiculous. Like, it was a proper caricature. And we had a group interview as well. And I just remember thinking, I'm not going to have got that because there'll be better people than me, and I'm 24. I'm over the hill. It's gone. It's done. And then a couple of it was a while before I heard, and I got the phone call while I was at the hospital, feeling a bit sad for myself, and I got this job, and I was like, oh my goodness, and never looked back from there. So it's didn't think that it would be something that would be, and I don't think anyone's sitting as a careers advisor who was sitting at school wanting to be a careers advisor. No. We all kind of fall into it. But
I think the bit that probably that you have, and that probably I have, is that, when you have done things that you don't enjoy and you leave school without a plan, you're willing to maybe take that step and take that risk to go, let's try something that I think might work for me in the short term. And you don't know where the long term you're going to be in, but we have chats with kids in school and we say, that careers is a long journey, and it's not necessarily the thing you do from leaving school is the thing you do forever. Albeit, I think obviously a lot of kids think that is the case.
Yeah, definitely.
So, when we got those opportunities, we're willing to take them to see what would happen. I think yours is quite good because you went straight into the TCA, did your college, did your uni, got your postgrad, and then were in the job. Whereas I went apprentice, apprentice. This is my 5th job in SDS, or 4th.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's been a while. So
you did your apprenticeship, then you got did
the apprenticeship and got the job for that. And then, very much knew that, maybe it wasn't a job that I wanted to do long term. And me, very quiet.
known for it.
Yeah, and just kind of got familiar with everybody that was in my working environment, who the different teams were, what they did. And I remember saying to facilities, I think, you know, if an opportunity comes up, because they had a good team, let me join you guys, like, give me a shout.
Yeah.
And a vacancy came up. So I interviewed for that, got that job. And then, again, did that for a few years and kind of realised, like, it's still back officey stuff and it's starting to wear a wee bit. And probably I started to kind of I was not motivated to keep going. I could feel myself not doing the job as way as I should be.
Yeah.
And kind of come to an end of that. And someone had said, did you ever think about going to the front office, CIAG? And I was like, no.
Career Information Advice and Guidance.
Yeah. Sorry, Career Information Advice and Guidance.
Not the CIA.
No. The CIA would be fun. So yeah, my friend Charlotte Maxwell, who works, I think she was in like contracts and NTP and stuff. Like, she said, "You'd be brilliant at this. Go for it." So I just applied and became a personal advisor.
Yeah.
And then during the personal advisor role, they were like, "Do you want to do the qualification?" And I think at that point you did just need a level 7 to do the postgrad, which in theory looks great because I got the chance, but the jump was huge in terms of academic learning.
Yeah, definitely.
It was massive, but that all stems from taking an administrative apprenticeship.
Yeah.
So like that's what we say about it's where you go as well. Like that doesn't need to be your job forever.
Yeah.
But if you're in a good company that's willing to support you and give you opportunities and you take them.
Yes. Say yes to these opportunities. Say yes to coming and doing a podcast. Say yes to putting your face on social media. You get extra stuff.
I know exactly. But like that's where I think apprenticeships, for me personally, are really, really valuable. Yeah, so I think 100%. For people like us that maybe weren't big lovers of school, didn't leave school with really great grades, the modern apprenticeship route is really valuable because it allows you to use the other skills you've got to be successful rather than the academic aspect. Obviously, graduate apprenticeships will allow you to go down the more academic route and the university route.
Definitely.
But the modern apprenticeship, I think, is a good process for helping you use your different skills.
Yeah, and I think it's that, like you say, the saying yes, but also it's also with these things, and it's kind of apparent from yours, but also from mine, is that other people recognise what's good for you quite often before you do. You know, you've got people saying to you, you should go for this job. Yeah. You've got someone in work saying, you should go on the front line. Yeah. You should go and do this careers advisor job. You should go and try for things. And actually, sometimes people will suggest things to you and you'll be like, yeah, no, thank you. And you'll have that visceral reaction of, no, I don't want to do that. And that's just as telling as hearing someone say something and go, oh, I hadn't thought about that, but actually maybe it would be good. And these are things that we maybe wouldn't have done and experienced, and we wouldn't have the lives that we have now. No,
exactly.
If we hadn't said yes to things.
Exactly, but like, I think what maybe made us more employable at the time as well, you've had obviously years under your belt of working in different roles though. So like, previous guests have talked about life experience and work experience, and I know you and me definitely promote the idea of turning 16, go out there and get a job because it is so more valuable than being an S, 4, 5, 6 people leaving school, 0 work experience, and that's your first job. It's just harder. Yeah. It's harder to understand the expectation from the employer's perspective, whereas if you've worked for other companies, whether it's a part-time job, you kind of you come to it from a different angle. I mean, I applied for apprenticeships leaving school, like joinery stuff, but I was never fully committed and didn't really want to do it. But when I found the right opportunity and I'd had a couple of years of work under my belt, it was so much easier. Yeah, you're ready for it to make the most of it, because that's the thing, sometimes people get into something and they're not quite, it's, right thing, but maybe not always right time. So it's taking the time to kind of recognise what's right for you. And I think that's something. So let's talk about the apprenticeship role, right? So the process of it for some, because it's different now. Obviously, it was a while ago for you. It was definitely a long time ago for me. So I think it's probably changed But do you remember when your mum sent you that, what that process was like for you in terms of interview and application? That kind of stuff?
So my application, so I think it's an application form now, but I had to put a CV on, and I looked up my old CV recently and I am mortified that I used this to apply for a careers agency. I'm like, oh my goodness, it was 3 pages long. It was size 8. so that I could fit, because I'd had lots of jobs at the same
Of
time.
course.
So I'd worked in the box office, I'd worked as a youth worker, Nando's, like hairdressing, library, like all sorts of
And you
different
thought
jobs.
every role was
I needed to put every
relevant
single
for-
role,
right.
and every single role had to have 10 bullet points on it, obviously, of what I did in every single detail, and like loads of information. And I think, and it was, there was stuff that was really relevant and it was important that it was on there, but it didn't, I'm a 24-year-old. I didn't need a
No.
3-page tiny writing
No,
CV.
yeah.
It was ridiculous. So I have no idea why they invited me for an interview. So that, and then like I say, interview wise, I went up to Dundee. It was like different people getting interviewed for it, because it was more than one position across the whole of Scotland. So we had someone was up in Thurso, Peter had, there was Edinburgh, like all sorts of different, like Glasgow and stuff as well. And 2 for Fife. And so we all went in to have this sort of more general interview. So you weren't interviewed by who you were going to be working with.
Yeah.
So I had my individual interview first, and then I had my group interview after. So my individual interview, like I say, I was really ill. I kept like coughing and losing my voice. I felt terrible. And my group interview, it was like we had to build a tower out of spaghetti and marshmallows. And
I've done that in school for a trial of like a test to say that this could happen to you.
This could
That
happen,
actually
and it
happened to
did
you.
happen to me. And you know what's so funny? I remember I was so nervous, and after my individual interview, I'm like, I've not got it. I'm so ill. It's like I've probably not been my best self. You're not like super happy and great when you're like full of the cold.
Yeah.
But you try your best. And I did say, I'm so sorry. I kept apologising and everything, and like, oh my goodness, so embarrassing. The person that interviewed me is now like a massive manager in SDS as well. And whenever I see her, and I'm like, oh God, does she remember how awful I was at interview? But and then the group interview, you went into that, and I remember feeling really like, oh gosh, that was really difficult, that individual part. And then the group, I was like, right, I'm just going to try my best. And they had different people at different parts of the room. And we had, so that there was a view of everyone. And I remember there was a girl who, she was ordering everyone about like she was in the army, like,
oh, really?
like barking orders at everyone. There was a boy who kept swearing every time he snapped his spaghetti.
Okay.
And there was a boy who did not speak a word. And so I felt like after my group interview, I was like, oh, actually, maybe I am in the running, because I didn't swear, I didn't bark orders, I wasn't silent. I mean, it wouldn't.
No, that'd be impossible.
That would be impossible.
That would have been impossible.
But yeah, so it was quite full on. I remember feeling quite, and I travelled for it. I didn't drive at the time either as well. So it was like, it felt like quite full on to go to. And it was like my first like grown up interview, grown up job sort of thing. So yeah, it was good. What about yourself?
Mine's was definitely a lot easier than that.
Damn it.
Mine's was like one interview with,
wow.
with at the time it would have been the head of region and one other. Mags Keir was there. She's like, if you don't know who she is, like she's like
Get to know.
hot property, like, one of the best workers in SDS history.
Okay.
Very, very good at what she does. And she essentially was there, and she became my kind of line go-to supervisor, if you like. So yeah, it was just a kind of normal interview, just asking questions about me and kind of competency based.
Yeah, that was what mine was as
For
well.
the first
So
time,
star approach.
yeah.
Yes.
So if you're listening to this is common very much now in the interview process, but it's kind of situation, task, action, result.
And it's quite good.
Summary
It stops
sometimes.
Sometimes somebody, yeah. And it's good as well, like if you're anything like myself and Joe, you might be a bit waffly. So when it comes to chatting, so actually having star can be really good to make you have like a more succinct answer, so that you can just keep yourself on track, because it can be really, you're nervous.
Yeah.
So you are going to be a bit, and it's okay for them to know you're nervous, because it shows that you care, but you want to be able to actually answer the question and show, this is what happened, this is what I did, then I did this, and this is how it resulted.
Yeah, and it's hard because you don't know that they'll give you a rough idea of the competency they'll touch on, but they won't necessarily tell you the question.
Yeah.
So the question can throw you off. So like, I definitely feel when I give advice to people about preparing for modern apprenticeship interviews, particularly star format, is prepare a kind of general, like, so think of the competency and what they might ask. Think of a general, experience that you know you could talk about without stuttering. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just tell your story, but with that format, if that makes sense. And that's sometimes the better way for me personally to answer it.
Definitely. And I think as well, when you're preparing for it, it's almost like I say to people, don't write out your full example, because if you write it out, you're going to stumble over your words because you're going to be trying to remember the exact wording that you did when you wrote it out. Whereas if you bullet point it or something like that, or even just like a general, like if it's something about teamwork, I could kind of talk about this and think of different examples that you could give, but don't be too, like, it's weird, be specific, but don't be too specific.
I know.
It's quite difficult.
But like, people forget as well, the employer isn't there to catch you out.
No,
they want you to smash it.
Yeah.
Like, they want you to do really well.
Totally.
They want to say, like, you've done great. I remember walking down the stairs after my interview, and I think it was either Sharon Kelly or someone else called Karen Glenn at the time. And I think she asked me, how did I think it went? And I thought the only way you'd ask that is if I did okay.
Aye.
You wouldn't put in a position to make me relive a horror story. You know, so
How do you think that went? Awful.
So I was like, I thought I did well. And then I think like the same night I found out, like, you know, I had the opportunity.
I was like 6 weeks before I found out, but I think it's because they were hiring 10
but also
people.
like since that we were the first two.
Yeah.
Nearly.
And you might have been the last person to be interviewed. And
that was like,
totally.
That was like 15 years ago, 16 years ago. So it was all new, whereas now there's better structure and understanding of how to assess people now. And
I
that's
actually
probably why
sat
we
in on
harder.
an interview the other week for like an actual, like I interview people but not interview people.
Right, okay.
So I actually got to sit in because they wanted someone who'd done the trainee role, because we're recruiting for trainees, and it was really interesting how different it is to, like, I was so nervous and I thought, that's so funny, this person's coming for an interview and they're really nervous, but I'm nervous to ask them questions.
I get
because
that, yeah.
And you don't think about that as someone who's been interviewed, that the person interviewing you, it's not their favourite. Nobody likes interviews.
No.
Nobody's like, oh yes, I'm going to put someone on the spot and make them stumble over their
and
words.
make them feel uncomfortable and stuff like that as well.
So a good interviewer should put you at ease and make you feel comfortable so that you can show your best self.
Yeah.
That's why there's lots of times there's like you're settling in questions and things, and especially for an apprenticeship opportunity, they know you're at the start of your career journey, so it should be quite a nice interview in terms of interviews.
Should be.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think it's good, like, picking up from like what you're saying in your journey about like the different jobs you did, and then obviously when your mum sent you this, you weren't sure at first if that was something you could do.
Yeah.
But probably what you realised when you researched it was the skills you need for it.
Yes.
You've got.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the key for me in terms of finding out what I've loved and what I enjoy doing. As I did a lot of jobs that really didn't match who I was, and kind of almost like kind of put me in a box of like I'm like a little bunny who just want to jump out, you know, and I can't. So this job is really restrictive for me. But because, you know, I took the right opportunity and was in the right place,
you could jump out the box.
I could grow, I could jump out the box, I could ask questions, I got support from different people within SDS to move and make the right decisions. Do you know what I mean? And
then that always comes right back to that, almost the career management skills of like networks. And self, and knowing who you are and knowing what's important to you and knowing what you want from life. Because, like I say, like 17-year-old Carrie would not think I would have a grown-up job and would not think that I'd have a postgraduate degree. I wouldn't believe it.
Yep.
And I had a few people say to me that when it was coming to do the postgrad, where you're suddenly in that uni thing and you're doing essays and you're being marked at that university level, it's a level 11 qualification. I had a few people say to me, you'll really struggle with that because you've not been to uni before. And I don't know, it made me go, nah, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be the absolute best at this, and I'm going to make, you know, I'm going to show everyone that even though I've not got a degree, I'll get the postgrad and I'll do really well with it. So I was really, every time, like, so I got like some distinctions and things like that, and I was like, because I deserve them and I've worked really hard for them. And I think, you know, there's a certain part of like, you know, people don't always understand what the amazing skills that you can get from an apprenticeship, because like you do still hear people say they've just done an apprenticeship. It's hard. It is hard, and you learn so much. So I think there's got to be this value of like how important it is and how much you can learn from it. That's practical. Like I was in the job every day. I had study days later on, and when I got to the postgrad level, but I was in the career centre for my stage 1, certainly I was in there, I was doing, employability appointments. So when I couldn't do the sort of career guidance parts, I'm doing the employability, helping people with CVs, no free pagers sort of thing, doing CVs, mock interviews, all stuff like that. And then as I progressed through it, I was able to, and I think no matter what apprenticeship you do, you start off doing the little things and you build up and you get more and more responsibility. So when I got to go into school, and I was like, this is it, I love this. And you find like the thing that suits you and what you love about it.
I think also like when kids are in school, the academia they're doing, so Nat 5's high or whatever, in that moment it feels like, oh my God, I need to get these things or else.
Yes.
I think I've looked back, I probably left school with like 1 Nat 5, I think, equivalent wise anyway at the time, because it was standard grades for us. And I think now the level's actually 1 National 5, but I've got a postgrad degree now. So like what I always say is like, academic, obviously doing well in school allows you to take the steps earlier, allows you to get to where you want to go quicker, but isn't necessarily like the be all and end all. And ultimately,
they're looking at your most recent qualification and your most recent experience and what's most relevant.
Exactly, and finding passion in something that you enjoy doing. Your academic learning can become easier because you understand what you're learning about, rather than at school where you're doing like chemistry, physics, maths, English, like modern studies. 5 different topics to a very decent level isn't the easiest thing in the world to do. And I think that, but when you amalgamate that into like a career idea or like a course at uni, college, whatever it may be, everything you're learning is to be successful in that one topic. And that's where I found that more enjoyable. And that's where like the apprenticeship, as much as it was based in admin, and things like that, but it gave me the kind of qualifications to keep progressing forward in things that you love. So like there's a kind of real perk to that.
Yeah, definitely. And you're getting paid while you do it, which is an absolute bonus.
And you're getting paid, absolutely. And listen, like you say, it's not easy because you're in the job and you're trying to learn alongside the job, but you do get designated time, whether that's online, whether that's at colleges or wherever, or like we said with apprenticeship route, if it's a graduate apprenticeship. Then obviously that's uni as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's just being aware that there's just so many different routes and pathways within it. And I think we're really lucky that we've kind of went through like different pathways, but we've ended up in the same thing. We're in the same podcast
We're in the
studio.
same podcast studio.
So,
but we always say there is an element of luck, but there's also an element of like, we took the opportunities.
We've done our apprenticeships now, and we're careers advisors. We're proper grown-ups with proper grown-up jobs as careers advisors. So like, what would you say, like, what's your best bits of being a careers advisor? What do you love?
Well, I think it's unusual, right? Because I think people know me, and like your friends and your family know you, and when you tell them that you sit with young people and try and help them make good choices about their own future, it can be kind of almost like a imposter syndrome a little bit, because you're like, who am I the person? I know I've got the qualifications, I'm a professional and we're trained, but part of you goes, what if this is a massive decision for them, and this conversation leads to them either being successful or trying something that doesn't quite work out, and we're to blame. Like it's quite a strange concept. So it's weird to be in those kind of roles and be on the other side, particularly when you work in school. For someone who really didn't like school to be now on the other side working with teachers and parents and pupils, it's kind of a full circle moment, really. But like it's enjoyable. Because our part of our job, I guess, is there's no expectation of how the conversation can go. It's really down to the young person and what they want from the conversation with us, and we try and just steer them in the right direction. I don't know about you, but I remember people who are a bit older than me that have had careers advisors back in the day, and it was very much, they told me to do this or they told me not to do that, and you're fighting a stigma like that's what we do.
Especially like the parents of the young people we're meeting, their parents maybe saw the careers advisors that they felt like they were being told, you will do this, you should do this, you shouldn't do this, and that's like literally anyone that knows either the pair of us will know that we're not tellers. We're not at all. So it's very different. And you're right, there is that stigma. If you've ever been out and someone said to you, like, what do you do? Like, when I met my partner, and he's like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a careers advisor. And their first answer is either, I had a careers advisor and they were rubbish, or give me some careers advice then.
Well, exactly.
Like,
and don't get me wrong, I feel like you do, particularly in this job, I think you have to, you're always fighting a battle with so many different personalities, you know, what the school expect from you, what the young person's looking for when you come into the room and have a conversation, and also the kind of parents and what their advice and support is away from home. So, but I love it, and it's definitely the best job I've ever done. I think it matches me in terms of my skill set. Every school I've went into, I've embedded well with the school, because I think it's important that you have a kind of good working relationship, but also being visual. Like, you know, we aren't, people think we're doing this because we want to be visual, right? Like that we just love our faces.
My team leaders at my work are like, they're literally like, oh, there you go, going with your face on something again. I'm like, no.
Yeah, they think we just love being on social media, right? It's not necessarily that. I mean, but 10% that. But,
you know.
it's more about us being able to share that with people that we work with, so kids can go, that's my careers advisor. So they can come and see us, so that they go, when it comes to decision making time, are they getting all the support that they need? And that's where we are. But I don't know about how you feel about yours.
I think, like, I always feel like it's such a, like, we're in such a privileged position that we get to be a part of young people's lives, and we get to help them and support them. And, you know, I didn't see my careers advisor at school, and I think I really could have done with that. I think maybe I wouldn't be where I am now, so maybe it's good that I didn't see them. But at the same time, like, I think there's so many people that I've had, like, there's just lovely conversations, and quite often school's not it for everybody. And so they might find that when they come to school that, you know, they're maybe not paying attention in class. So they're maybe finding that, like, they maybe feel like teachers don't like them, that they're forever getting phone calls home, they're this, that and the next thing. And then suddenly they come and they speak to us, and we're there to believe in them. And I think that can be a really powerful thing, and it can be really, that can be a changing moment for people in their life, to have somebody sit in front of them and say, well, of course you can do that. Let's figure it out together how to do it. And having someone impartial who's not saying, well, you need to do this because of this, and you need to do that, and well, you'll never do this. You know, I would never. It wouldn't come out at all. I couldn't be like that with somebody. So it's never going to be the thing. And that's the other, you know, like you say, being visual and having people see that. You want people to see that we are just people who care and want to make a difference. So I think that's what I don't think there's any careers advisors I know who don't care. I think it's really important. If we were sitting as careers advisors not caring, then I don't think we would be careers advisors.
No, exactly. Absolutely. So, no, you've put it, like, I think most of people will relate to that. That's where we're at. So we've had some questions from the audience. We put up a wee question box on Instagram to ask for questions around today's Apprenticeship Career Stories podcast, and we've picked up a couple to respond to. So the first one is, can you talk about foundation apprenticeships? How do they bridge the gap between school and the workplace? Yeah,
so foundation apprenticeships, they're basically a qualification, and they can be that sort of national 4 or 5 level, but also hires as well. They're in quite practical subjects, so you've got a really wide range of them. You'll find more information on Apprenticeship Scot of which ones are available and which different frameworks. In terms of bridging the gap, it's kind of it's an opportunity to get a qualification in that sort of vocational route, and being able to be there. You go on work placement as part of it as well, and it will be specific to what you're doing. I've had people who did the lab skills, the scientific technology lab skills one, and their work placement was in a lab, so it kind of goes part and parcel, and you can gain those over a year. Sometimes they might be 2 years. You've got social services, children and young people ones, you've got healthcare ones, and these can be I think it can bridge the gap in almost your own self. And do you want to work in that? It gives you a real life experience of it too.
Also as well, like, so when people are maybe looking to go into the modern apprenticeship full-time course, when they leave school, a lot of employers will give you a guaranteed interview if you've got a foundation apprenticeship. So like BAE Systems, for example, engineering, they'll accept, give you an interview straight away, which is really, really valuable. Very conscious though, this is dependent on your school and your local authority.
Exactly.
Not every school can a foundation apprenticeships work based on the schedule and the timetabling. So definitely ask your careers advisor in your school or your school guidance teacher.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got another, I think we've only got time for one more. As you can tell, we could probably talk forever and ever and ever. But so the question is, so I'm more of a creative person. I don't like the idea of more studying after school or sitting in an office. Would an apprenticeship be a good option for me? Short answer, yes.
Yeah.
Long answer, there are so many different frameworks. There are so many different apprenticeships that you can do. Not all of them are based in an office. Ours were kind of office based, but you're not going to be based in an office doing a hairdressing apprenticeship or a childcare, animal care, all sorts of different ones. So there are very practical trades or different areas of apprenticeships that will allow you to kind of either be creative. Definitely not all sat in an office.
No. And be conscious that there is still an academic element to it. You are still going to work towards potentially a level 7 qualification, which is a HNC college. So that's something to kind of take into consideration.
It should be more kind of, it should make sense. I felt like all my apprenticeship part, it made sense. I was writing about what I was doing, so it wasn't just it wasn't just something abstract. It was tangible to what you were doing. Mainly.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I think that's actually all we've got time for today. So really what we want people to take away from this, as we're coming up for Apprenticeship Week, anyone can do an apprenticeship. You can be a school leaver, you can be a career changer, you can be a super old apprentice like me at 24. There are people who can do apprenticeships at older than 24 as well. There are adult apprenticeships out there as well. I really just want everyone to know that it's an option and it might be the right one for you. So you can speak to your careers advisor. If you're not at school anymore, there are careers advisors all over Scotland who are more than happy to speak to you, and you can find out how to find us on My World of Work.
Yeah, and if you're looking specifically for apprenticeships, remember going apprenticeship.scot. That'll give you loads of information regarding the foundation apprenticeship that was questioned, modern apprenticeship and graduate apprenticeship, how they all differ, and also there are hundreds of vacancies that go on there live every year. Usually hot times for them would be probably January onwards. Usually you start to see a lot more, but sometimes a wee bit earlier for like the graduate apprenticeship. So just kind of tune into that website.
Yeah, definitely. This has been really nice. It's been lovely to just kind of chat to each other. I think anyone who's listened to any of our podcasts before know that we can chat. We're quite good at chatting. We quite like chatting. We've
been warned several times we're going on here too long.
Exactly. So honestly, thank you so much, Joe. It's been really nice to just have a nice conversation with you in a weird seating arrangement, but it's wrong. But it's been lovely, and we will see everyone else for our next episode.